Hey everyone, it's Des. It's really cold outside, so I'm in gloves, I'm in sweatpants, and I'm boots and a hat. It's freezing, like literally, it's like 32 degrees outside. And today, I just got shipped to me 2 massive boxes containing the stand and the OTA to my Zhumell Z12 Dobsonian Telescope. The Z12 stands, the Z is Zhumell, and the 12 is indicative to the size of the primary mirror. So 12, you can imagine, is a 12-inch mirror. And it's quite a long tube. It's almost the same length as me, and I am in inches, 57.5 inches tall, and it's roughly the same size as me. There's very few videos about how to put it together and to unbox it, so that you can see from the moment I open it to the moment we actually can use it, how that looks like. There is a Zhumell video available on YouTube that shows how to put together one of these. I've watched it. It's 13 minutes long. It's okay. It's a little outdated. And it's instructional. It's not really, it's coming from somebody who's done this many times before. And although I've built my own telescopes, I have not put together and assembled a Dobsonian mount before. So this is coming from another amateur astronomer who is trying to figure it out as much as somebody who would watch this video. So hopefully you can relate to this more, and maybe I'll be able to give you some pointers and speak to you in a vernacular which is more common than, say, somebody who's a professional. And if that's the case, do give this a like and subscribe. And also, to compare, if you'd like, there is another video here on my channel of my Celestron 127 EQ, which is on an equatorial mount, hence the initials EQ. And it's a regular Newtonian reflector, as is this one. The only difference is the mount. But before we get to the unboxing, real quick, I think it's super important, at least for me. I find that when I know more about how the things I love came about, whether it's a designer I like a lot, like Michael Kors, or if it is a athlete I like a lot, I like whatever it is I like to know more about it. I think we all do, because it enhances your love for it. It gives you more reasons, and I guess you would say it supports your case for why you love it. And it gives you more time and reasons to bond. And I already love amateur astronomy, but I did not know anything about the man who invented the Dobsonian mount. His name was John Lowry Dobson. He was an American amateur astronomer and also a Benedictine monk. And his parents were Methodist missionaries. He was born in Beijing, China. And they came back to the United States a few years later. And he graduated from the University of California, Berkeley, a great college, with a master's in chemistry. And then he went on to become a monk. He ended up doing this for like 20-something years, and then eventually was kicked out of his monk order, essentially because his love for science. He thinks it was kind of BS that they kicked him out for that, and I kind of agree. He even later went on to do talks on behalf of that order, the monk order, and was even listed in Time magazine's top 50 most influential people of the time because of his contribution. Now, John Lowry Dobson was an amazing guy. His wife was a geneticist, which is super cool. They both gave a lot of contributions to today's world. The amazing contribution that John Dobson did, because almost every single amateur astronomer and amateur telescope builder uses Dobsonian mounts. So even your local observatory likely has a Dobsonian mount on their telescope, because they are so simple to build. And he just knew, after going to UC Berkeley and seeing all these fancy things in the science department and their equatorial mounts, that was just difficult. And as he put it, he was simply too retarded to be able to build one of his own. And he thought there had to be a better choice. And thanks to his passion and his drive to fulfill this belief that he had in having a simple mount and a simple way to construct telescopes, thanks to him, millions of Americans and millions upon millions of other people across the world have been able to fulfill exactly the dream that he laid out because of his design. And we all owe a lot of thanks to John Lowry Dobson. He did pass away in 2014, unfortunately, at the ripe old age of 98 years old. And that's an incredible life. He lived an incredible life, and I just wanted to pay a little thanks. And for those of you who are into amateur astronomy and maybe haven't looked into him like I hadn't yet, I hope that gives you guys a little bit of background to enhance your love for your telescope. And I know it enhanced mine, and I am fascinated by the life of John Dobson. He also invented sidewalk astronomy, which is still a big thing. In fact, the club he founded way back in the day in San Francisco is still the largest ongoing amateur astronomy group in California. So major contribution to our world. And we are all made out of stardust. And I think that bridging the gap between us and our origins is the best thing a human being can do in terms of how they spend their time on this earth. It's a wonderful thing, and I am so excited to continue doing so. So let's get to it, guys. I got the boxes literally right here. I'm gonna turn the camera around and you're gonna see this all from the start. So let's get to it. Please like and subscribe, and let's get to it, guys. I know it's cold. I'm gonna have to take these gloves off at some point. Ooh, but let's get scientific. All right, let's do it. Bye, guys. All right, guys, this is the 2 boxes. I don't know how well you can see how big they are, but this is the mount, or this is the base. So this is the base. This is obviously the OTA. This is the optical tube, which is your main part of your telescope. This here is the very important Dobsonian base. And together, by the way, this is not for somebody who is weak. These together are 97.8 pounds, or roughly 40 some odd kilograms each. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. This is it. So you get the idea. It's roughly as tall as I am. So this might be a 2-person job, but for today, I'm gonna go ahead and bear it with you guys alone, and we'll see if it's even possible for a 30-year-old amateur to be able to do this. We have to start with the base though, so let's get to it. I brought out a table to put small parts on because, as you can see, we are on grass, and it's literally a builder's nightmare because you drop a bolt, you will never find it. So I believe actually we could set it down this way. Super careful with this optical tube here, okay? Because inside of it is the money maker, the money shot, the 12-inch reflective parabolic mirror. Not cheap, super easy to break. Well, let's cut her open. Now, in the video from Zhumell, they recommended putting the base together first. And after watching it, I absolutely agree. Because A, your OTA, your optical tube, is already assembled for the most part. You have to add your focus. No, the focuser's on there. You have to add your star finder and the side pieces that lock into the base. That's really all you have to do. It's much, much more simpler than the base. So I'm gonna take you guys a little closer and we'll get started on the base. The first thing that they do on the Zhumell video is attach this, it's a handle in here, to this side plate of your base plate. Now this base plate goes with the arch cups thing facing upwards, the crescent facing up. Okay, so this is the top, and flat side's the bottom. And this bad boy will run out of plastic. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these silver parts, I do believe, go on the inside. So this goes into here with the screws given with an Allen wrench. Now these are the feet. Okay, we'll put those aside for a second. This is your Allen wrench, for those of you who are unfamiliar with those. But if you've ever put together anything from IKEA, you know what an Allen wrench is. Okay, so that, and it's the 2 silver screws that go onto this for the, here's one. They look like this. Okay, these are the handle ones. They drop right inside there and go right on the door that I'm holding. But let me get both of them out. Okay, see them hanging out a little bit. Using your Allen wrench, apply the handles It's the same frontwards, backwards, so it doesn't matter which way you put the handle on. And to be quite frank, it looks like they gave me a used freaking, because look at the scratches on it. I am likely going to complain about this, not gonna lie, because it's pretty extensive wear and tear on this handle. Regardless, it's just a handle. I'm not gonna like return the object because of that, but it will look like so. The screws are already in it, facing into the holes. All I need to do now is to fasten them down. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. We know how that old one goes. Took about 5 turns total, 6 turns, full rotations, after you get it into the actual threaded part, because it needs to drop down into that first. You want it tight because this is a big, very heavy telescope. You want your handle to be as secure as possible. So make sure it's tight without stripping it of its mold. So, and ta-da! Got ourselves a handle. Now, the next part is to put the sides on here. And we're gonna do one side at a time. Doesn't matter which side, but you will notice that there are pre-drilled holes here and here on both sides for the sides. And I'm gonna go ahead and push the base back and grab my sides. This is my side. It also has corresponding pre-drilled holes, right? They're the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which one you put in and which one you put out on one of them. The other one, it will matter, and I'll explain to you why when we get to it. But we're gonna go ahead and put the drill holes lined up with this facing essentially like so. See this? Front side, the other side will go here where my elbow is, and then we'll have our base essentially put together. So I'm gonna grab the screws, I'll show you what those ones look like. Now this is what it looks like. This is your handle in the front. Don't mind the fact that it's sitting on these base plates. So it's not that it's attached to it. It's literally just because it's standing on it a little higher up so you can see it better. Now you have the black screws that look exactly like this. You come with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. 10 of them. Okay? 4 of them total will go on both sides of this handled door, front, right? Now, they're pre-drilled holes. All you do is stick them in each of the holes that correspond to the front of this handled piece. You'll need your Allen wrench. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these plates a little further back because they're not attached to it. Okay, this is just the first part you do. This is what it will look like. Now, on one side, as I mentioned, there are pre-drilled holes. Very, very small, very hard to see. And this is why. Now, you might think it goes like this. It does not go like this. Just like with the shelf, you want this side piece that goes against the wall to be facing downwards. And there is a small baggie, this one, that has 2 very small black painted screws. Those are in their own compartment specifically because they are the only ones that will fit for this little brace here for holding your eyepiece. So I'm gonna go ahead and that's what you need your screwdriver for. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble those. It is easier to flip this on the side so the gravity is with you and you don't drop your screw. So that's what we're gonna do. Like so. Okay. On its side. My holes are right here, right above the screw on the panel, maybe 1 inch up. And we're gonna just set it on there like this and line up the holes visually. And then add my screws. They're very, very tiny screws. These are the screws for the hand, not the handle, for the eyepiece holder. All right, so I'm gonna set this on the ground because next is the hard part, this part. Now, remember there are 2 of these, and the one we are focusing on first is going to be the one with less pre-drilled holes. This one has 2 sets of double pre-drilled holes, 1 center pre-drilled hole, and then 2 opposite facing pre-drilled holes that are singular, okay? This one we're setting aside for a moment. The one we are focusing on does not have those pre-drilled holes, the big ones, all around it, okay? They in fact have 1, 2, 3 tiny, really small, millimeter-sized pre-drilled holes. And also is gonna have a brass ring that is flush. It's even a little depressed, it's not even quite flush. And then you have a pre-drilled sunken inside. That one, the sunken in pre-drilled hole side, you want facing down. So have the brass ring facing up. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the feet onto this bad boy. Okay, so these are your little feet. They're little rubber feet that have an indented side in it with a little bit of a, it's depressed inside there so it can hold the screw without going all the way through. See, this is much smaller of a hole than this one. This is the side you're gonna put your screw into, like this one, with the big hole facing up, the little hole facing down on the 3 pre-drilled corners. They're each equal distance from each other, so 1/3 of the way through your circle here for your base, with the brass part facing upwards, okay? That's very important. You need that depressed side, the pre-drilled hole side, on the opposite side of your feet. Do not forget that, because if you mess this part up, you will actually damage and ruin the telescope. They will not take it back if you have done this part wrong. So you will need a screwdriver for this, a Phillips, because it's not going to take your, see, this is what it looks like sticking out. See it on the inside? So it drops right in there nice and cozy, and you put that over your pre-drill hole and screw it in. It takes a very minimal amount of strength to put this in. Get a few turns until you feel the foot is not wobbling like this. See this? It's not, that's gonna be annoying, and it's gonna make your telescope off balance. And if you're off balance, you're gonna have a hard time getting the right azimuth because you're gonna be off centered. It's like, all right, there's our feet on. Now that the feet are on the plate, right? And remember, the brass side is where the feet go. Brass ring, feet. Pre-drilled sunken in hole is opposite side of the feet. Now that we have the feet on, we are going to set this aside because we're going to grab the actual main component of it that we built. Okay, for this next part, it's easiest if you just take your box part, the bottom base that you've already constructed with the handle and with your eyepieces, flip it upside down. It is flat on both sides. It's smaller on the bottom, as you can see here, where these little arches are, okay? But they are flat nonetheless. You can flip it upside down using your handle. It's really not that heavy. And you need to grab the other base plate, not the one with the feet, the other one. This one with all the big holes on it. Now, they stress how important this step is, okay? That these is where these pre-drilled sunken in holes, right? We'll need to have these screws that will go in them. You will use 4 of them essentially. You're gonna need those 4 to go all the way through and be flush, if not even more depressed. You don't want them sticking up at all. No, so that when you're looking at it from the side, you shouldn't even be able to really see it. It shouldn't be like this, essentially. See how that? You should not have that. It should be all the way through. If you have it like this, a little out, you're going to ruin it. And I mean literally ruin it, okay? So this is important. But the way we do this, I'm gonna take that back out because we're not ready yet. These holes here, the pre-drilled big size holes, not the smaller ones corresponding on the back. This side is gonna go on top. Now there are already holes in the bottom of both sides of this, okay? Both sides. You're gonna wanna look, because there's only 4 of these pre-drilled holes, although there is a total of 7 on this base plate. The one in the center, ignore it for now, okay? But then you see 2 across from each other, 2 across from each other with 2 smaller ones. For now, ignore the 2 smaller ones. Look at the ones that are equal distant from each other that match up with your base. And you're gonna wanna make sure that it's lined up with all of them. And we're gonna go ahead and grab 4 of these black Allen wrench screws, okay? 4 of them. They're all the same, so it doesn't matter which 4 you grab. And we're gonna just place them where they are going to go. We're not drilling them in yet, just 1, right? 2, see the second one? Oh. 2. 3, just make sure it's lined up, yep. 4. And with our hands, we are going to give them a couple semi-turns until we can feel them implanted in the particle board of the base, okay? Reason why we do this is so that if for some reason, and this has happened to me building like shelf units, that if you do it and just go ahead and screw it straight in, you risk the chance of making sure the other ones are not fully aligned, and one will come out, a screw might pop out on the side, which is gonna ruin it, or the inside, which will ruin it. We want them all to go right in the middle of their hole so that they are the most sturdy they can possibly be and we don't ruin it. Okay, they're all halfway in now. I'm sure you can see that. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get on my gloves because my fingers are freezing to death. And I'm going to make sure that they get all the way in, and I will show you how flush I get them the second I am done. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back to see how that looks. Yes, flush. Okay guys, I've gone ahead and I've tightened them all down to the point that if I run my finger over it, my finger should kind of dip in a little into the depressed spot. So I'll get it a little closer so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. See here, you want this to, you don't want this sticking out up at all. Just be very certain that you've pulled it in as far as it can go so that you have more of an indentation and not actually something that's above this surface, okay? Because this is gonna go onto another plate, and if this little screw, the 4 of them, are sticking out at all, you're going to warp your bearing plate, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and put this one aside, this whole construction, because what we need to do now is we need to pull out the feet part. So I'm gonna scoot this back. You're gonna get the feet, okay? The feet footed one that looks exactly like the one that's on there, but with feet, okay? And we are going to have it with the feet on the bottom as it's supposed to go. Now what we need to pull out now next is extremely important. It's gonna come in a bag like this. This is your bearing screw, okay? Now, like such, okay? You're gonna notice the ball bearings are already on it, the little spinning thing with the little tiny balls on it. You're gonna remove that, do not lose it. Because in your bag of all your pieces, there was a washer, one tiny washer. That one tiny washer, go ahead and put it on there. Because then you're going to take the ball bearing you just had and put that the same way it came off, the same way back on. So the balls, the majority of the ball is visible this way, right? And then you're gonna put the large washer, ta-da, like so. So just to be clear, it is the washer first, the little washer first, then it's the ball bearings, okay, with the majority of the ball structure facing upwards. I don't know if you see that, see the balls in there? And then the big one on top of it. Any other way, you're going to strip it and it's gonna essentially ruin your telescope. Now, set this to the side because you need to find this little silver metal cylindrical tube. It's maybe an inch total. Now with your base and the feet facing downwards, okay, you'll notice there's a corresponding little cylinder in the circle that's indented and will snugly fit this in there. Ta-da, like that, okay? This fits right in there. Both sides are the same, doesn't matter if you flip over the cylinder. As long as the feet are facing the bottom, you are good, okay? Because this is going to be integral for the bearing plates, which are those round ones, to go on there. I'm going to grab the bearing plates and we will go over really quickly how they go on. They're already put in a nice little bag all together like. You're going to have to now, there is 2 identical silver ones, okay? Doesn't matter which side's on the inside or outside, they're the same. What is different is this wagon wheel one, which goes between the 2. Again, it won't matter which side is facing which way, but you want it sandwiched as it came in the packaging, like so. Okay, this will go over that, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, now, when you have your bearing plates, what's important to note is the reason we have this plastic one and why it has to go between them. It's very hard to see, but these little metal pieces are actually tiny little tubes that are stuck between the plastic, and they spin, right? They spin. This will give us the bearing motion, like a lazy Susan. If you don't know what that is, look it up. So that when they are, we're gonna put this, remember, sandwich the gray pieces on the outside, the black pieces of the metal on the inside, and you should be able to see perfectly through there. I could see you, you can't see me, but there's the hole. That hole corresponds to this tube in the middle that we've already placed. Okay, and then we're going to just go ahead and line it up, set it directly over that hole. Okay, now if you hit it like a DJ, work it, it rolls. Okay, that's what we want to hear. That's great, perfect. Now comes a little bit of a difficult part. We're gonna have to take this base, I'm gonna flip it back over because it has to line up with this plate, because in the center of this one will also be a matching hole for this cylinder. So you're gonna have to line it up. This might require 2 people. I'm gonna do it with 1 because that's all I got. So let's do it. Dizzy Dazzy. You should be able to hear it go around and swirl on its bearings without hearing little glitches, and it shouldn't stop. You should be able to. Sounds perfect. Because next is pretty much, we're getting down to the last of it, guys. So. Okay, guys, so we now have a nearly completed base, 99% completed. Now, what's left is this, and we're going to face it downwards so you guys can see what I'm talking about. You have your base plate bearing screw, okay? Assembled as we assembled it earlier, with the smallest washer first, the bearing second, the larger washer last. And we are just going to go ahead and drop it into this hole in the middle here. Now it's tight, and look, it won't move. So if you untighten it, you can adjust the direction of your scope. So this takes care of your left to right, okay? So the base is done. The base is finito. That's awesome. Now I have to unbox the huge Zhumell box of my OTA, my optical tube. Because what we have to do then is put on the sides that will go onto the telescope to sit in here, and that needs screwed on, and also we have to screw on our star finder, and that's it. It also comes with a culminator, and it comes with 2 eyepieces. So I'm going to show you guys what all that looks like, and let's get to the actual OTA, the money shot. Okay, so here we go. So this is the box, you guys, just to give you an idea. It's literally like the entire length of my body. So we're gonna get the scissors, cut this off. Take a look for yourself. I mean, this is so effing big. I can't even describe the size of this. Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and, okay, first thing you see when you open it is this box of styrofoam that contains your star finder that you will attach later. These are your bushings. These are what you'll need to put on your scope and screw in there so that they rest in the pockets on your base. There's 2 of them. More styrofoam. You'll find 2 boxes on one end. This one says Zhumell Z12. Okay, this is your 9mm that they give you. And your Zhumell Super View. This is an extra wide angle lens. This is a 30mm, okay? We don't really need to pull these out now, but I am curious to see these eyepieces. Ooh, good, they came nice. Wow, talk about a big mama jamma. So this is the 30. Really a deluxe one. Okay, I love that, love it. Mine came a little cracked here, my styrofoam. As long as the mirror is fine, I don't care. Inside of that, you will find your control box, your power cord box for your fan that goes on, obviously connected to your fan so that you can heat it up and keep it cooled down at the times, or not heat it up, cooled down so that you're not getting the perspiration on the mirror. 55 inches for the OTA, which is your optical tube. My eyepiece is right here. This is my eyepiece, which tells me the mirror is down there, which will mean that's my bottom as I continue to assemble this massive telescope. Okay, you guys, I just did a video and it didn't save. I don't know what happened, but my iPhone just completely glitched and I don't know what happened. It was really some weird stuff. But in the last video, I did show you how to put these on. These are called your bushels. This is how your bushings, and that's how it's going to sit inside the mount that we made. Now, to quickly go over how to do this, the bolts that you need to attach these bushings, these silver pieces look like big knobs for a safe is what it looks like, okay? The bolts for it are already in there, on it. There's 2 silver bolts. Remove those bolts. You will see behind it on the inside of these pieces that there is a corresponding gold threaded piece that you will need to align with the holes on your bushings in order to, after you take the bolts out, line it up and then put them in. But before you line it up and screw them in, because I made the mistake in the video that I made that now doesn't exist, you're gonna want this, there's a flat piece right here. Flat, you want the flat side, there's only one flat side of the bushing, okay? You want the flat side facing the open end of your optical tube where your focuser is and your star finder. You want that flat part facing up towards that hole so that the round part is on the bottom, because that's the part we're gonna sit into our base so it can swivel. It's not gonna swivel if it's on flat. So just make sure the flat part is facing your focuser and the round part is facing the mirror. Tighten those, both screws for each side, so a total of 4, 2 for each side. Screw them in all the way, tighten them up, make sure that they are the same level. What I mean by that is there is little tiny increments that are painted onto your thing. I'll show you here real quickly. I don't know if you can see these. You see these little, it's like a measuring cup. You want them at the same level on both sides so you do not have a wonky looking lopsided telescope. It's going to make finding your stars almost impossible if they are not at equal length. And then you have your little swivel here, okay? So these bolts on the inside is a gold bolt that's threaded to meet with the bolt you will put here. These 2 bolts you can find already on this piece, okay? Remove them. Line this up, line it up with the corresponding threaded pieces on the inside. Take note of where the measurement is for the top and the bottom. Do the same on both sides. Tighten and you're ready, okay? Now, all that's left to do on this bad boy is to quickly go over your focuser. This is a Crayford style focuser. It's a slow release. Has these 2 pins in the front. These pins in the front can lock it so that, because these things are awfully heavy, they're completely metal and they weigh quite a bit. So if you, for instance, I'll show you real quick, we can loosen these up as loose as they go. I'm going to extend it, okay. And if you were to see what I mean? It's going to go right back down and you're going to lose your focus. So you want to tighten them when you get exactly where you want on your focus, you tighten these outer two ones that are facing you. These ones on the sides here is so that you can regulate. We'll do the bottom ones first. Okay? The bottom ones allows you to put in your 2-inch piece, which is what they give you is the 30 millimeter, which is a 2-inch diameter. And you will stick that, it'll fit snugly in there. You tighten that back up. Don't forget to tighten it. Back up. And it will hold this piece in there, okay? Now, the piece that came in there was this. As you can tell, it's a little drop down tier. That's because this bottom piece is also 2 inches in diameter. And it will fit in there as such, okay? But it also came with a 1.25 diameter millimeter eyepiece. Now this is what I technically have the most of, and that's because I have my Celestron 127 EQ, which only holds 1.25. Almost every telescope in the world is either a 2-inch or a 1.25 inch. Now this here is a converter. This converter will make it so that if you have this 2-inch like ours is today, that you could stick this in there, tighten it again, don't forget to do that, and then take off your dust cap, and you will be able to place in your 1.25 snugly in there. Once it's in there, you would tighten this ring here, okay? So, won't come out. See that? Nice, good, that's what we want. Last but not least, everybody, one of the most important pieces of your telescope is your gorgeous star finder. You call it star finder, some people call it a finder scope. It has multiple names, they're both the same thing. Here she is. Now, I'm gonna loosen this so this diagonal can turn like so. You want this up, because this part here is going to slide in. All you do is take this bolt and you swivel it so that this here will slide in. Okay, there we go. And it'll be flush on both sides because there's a stopper on the end here. It can't go any further forward, okay? It can only go backwards. You want it all the way in, tighten the bolt, ta-da. Don't forget to take off your dust caps before viewing or else you won't see anything. This is how you find your stars. Your star finder is crucial because this is essentially one binocular, or a monocular as they call it. So now that we have it all assembled, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up and put it into my big, beautiful baby. See it? Ready and happy, super excited to get the rest of it in there. Look at that. The reason why we have it there we go. I'll loosen the bolt in the bottom so we can get the swivel. But that flat part I was talking about on the bushings, it's flat with this. This will allow me to loosen the handles and the bushings. Okay. See that? To tighten it, keep it in that position, you just tighten the knob, release it when you want it back. And this is how you want it stored. So, let me get you further back so I can show you guys the full beauty. All right. So this is it. So it actually comes up to exactly eye level from, I'm wearing shoes, but from the ground of the feet is about the same width as my soles of my shoes. So I'm 5'7.5". Up to like, I would say altogether 55 inches, maybe 54. But that's it, guys. That's the entire Zhumell Z12 Dobsonian put together by one girl, an Allen wrench, and lots of leftover plastics. Recycled. Love the planet. It loves you. I am so excited. I still can't believe I put that all together. So thanks. If you like this video at all, please give it a like, leave a comment if you have any questions, and happy stargazing. It's Des, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will talk to you guys later.
Bye.